A very good evening to all my dear students. Welcome to today's session for chapter number 10 of Auditing and Assurance subject. And students, the name of the chapter is The Company Audit. So I can see Rajiv, Bhumika, Darshan, these students have joined. Others also, please quickly join. So as we have done a detailed discussion about assertions, about the verification with respect to various assertion of balance sheet items and P&L items, along with the various additional regulatory information and notes, we have done that quite in detail with respect to chapter number 9, right? So first of all, I would like to ask all of you whether you have gone through all the questions, all the MCQs case scenario that were posted as assignment. And if you have any query relating to chapter number 9, so you can send that query to me. We can always discuss, right? Now, with respect to chapter number 10, which is the company audit, here also we are going to have a detailed discussion with respect to various provisions contained in chapter 10 of the Companies Act 2013, right? Apart from the sections that I have shared on the screen, that is sections 139 to section 148, students. In this chapter, we will be discussing about, just a minute, SA 299, SA 600, then CARO 2020, right? And if you remember in my chapter number 9, I have told you that for all those who would have gone through chapter number 9 before doing chapter number 10, they are going to find CARO 2020 easy for understanding, for remembering, right? So I hope students quickly send in your replies. Have you gone through? In fact, I have given you the homework to read chapter number 9 from the module twice and to prepare it properly. Quickly tell me who all have done the homework. Then we'll start with chapter number 10. Quickly send in your replies. So I can see that Bhumika is saying, ma'am, except case studies, I've gone through chapter 9 and MCQ. So Bhumika, are you able to gain any confidence with respect to chapter number 9? Except like apart from the reading part, is the learning part also done to some extent? Same way, Rajiv Kumar, you also reply. Is the learning part also done? Because I told you chapter number 9 is the lengthiest chapter. And if you keep it that I'll be doing it later on, once all the sessions of auditing and assurance will get completed, students, believe me, then attending these sessions will be of no use. You have to prepare these chapters as and when we are like the topic that we are covering in the session, you need to read it through from the module at home before coming for the next session. So please students, for all those who haven't done the reading part, the learning part, please start doing it. That is for your benefit only, right? So on a very positive note, let us start with chapter number 10, which is scheduled for today. And the name of the topic is the company audit. So as the name suggests, in this chapter, we'll be discussing about various aspects relating to the audit of a company. If you remember the definition of term audit, it is what? Independent examination of financial information of any entity, right? But here we are talking more specifically about the audit of financial statements of a company, right? So that's good. Rajiv Kumar is saying that, ma'am, more than 70% of learning is done while reading and solving the questions. That good. That's good. Rest of the learning will also be done if you give that chapter a second reading, right? So do it today itself or maximum by tomorrow, right? Chalo, now with respect to chapter number 10. So students, see there in the Companies Act 2013, na, so so there is chapter number 10 of the Companies Act 2013, the with the name of which is Audit and Auditors. So there are all these sections: section 139 relating to appointment of auditors, 140 relating to removal, resignation of auditor and giving of special notice, 141 relating to eligibility, qualification, disqualification of auditors, 142 relating to remuneration of auditors, 143 relating to powers and duties of auditors and auditing standards, 144 auditor not to render certain services, 145 auditors to sign audit report, 146 auditors to attend general meeting, section 147 relating to punishment for contravention, and section 148 relating to various aspects of what cost audit, right? And as and when we'll be covering all these sections, you will come across rules, because Companies Act 2013 is a rule-based act, right? So Companies Audit and Auditor Rules 2014 will be covering some rules of the relevant rules of the Companies Audit and Auditor Rules 2014, popularly known as CARD 2014, and Companies Cost Records and Audit Rule 2014, right? Apart from this, we'll be doing CARU 2020, and I told you SC 299 and SC 600. Okay. So this is about chapter number 10, what we are going to cover. And again, a very, very, very important chapter from the point of view of your examination. CARU 2020 at the most important. Again, section 143, 141, section 139, and various aspects of this chapter are really very, very important. Okay. So we will be doing darshan as to where CARU is applicable, and darshan with respect to your query, na, see what is the name, what is the full form of CARU 2020? Companies Auditors Report Orders. So it is applicable to, I hope your query is clear. Otherwise, we will be doing CARU 2020 in quite detail, like one session will be dedicated to CARU 2020 only. Okay. Now, students, you all must be doing chapter number 10 of Companies Act 2013, the name of which is Accounts of Company, in your corporate law, covering section 128 to section 138, right? So a little knowledge of these sections will be required, though as such, these are not in detail in your auditing and assurance subject. And in fact, section 128 and 120 ka knowledge, section 133 ka knowledge, we'll be discussing in this chapter. And I'll be assuming that you all are clear with these sections, right? But yes, as I've told you, as and when any relevant reference will come, I'll definitely touch upon that section. Okay? So even if you haven't taken up your corporate law classes, don't worry, we'll be discussing the relevant sections, right? So let us start with the very first section. So I'll be following the sequence that is given in your module itself, right? So section 141 of the Companies Act 2013, which is eligibility, qualification, and disqualification of an auditor. Okay? So this section 141 consists of 4 subsections. We will be discussing all these subsections one by one. Okay? So Kiran is saying, ma'am, law classes have not yet started. So don't worry. I take my words back. Don't worry. Wherever the reference to section 128 to 138 will come, I will definitely touch upon the relevant discussion, whichever is required for the purpose of this chapter. Okay? So don't worry. Okay. Now, eligibility, qualification, and disqualification of an auditor is given by section 141 of the Companies Act, right? So let us just go through the module with respect to this section. So this section says that subsection 1 of section 141 says that a person shall be eligible for appointment as an auditor of a company only if he is a chartered accountant. So section 141 gives a clarification by itself by saying that only if a person is a chartered accountant, he can be appointed as an auditor of a company. So here we are talking about what? Companies Act 2013. So specifically about the various provisions relating to appointment of an auditor with respect to a company. Okay. Now, section 2, clause 17 in the Companies Act 2013, it gives the definition of term chartered accountant. So as such, you need not learn this. This is just a further discussion. So chartered accountant, the term has been defined in Companies Act as a chartered accountant as defined in clause B of subsection 1 of section 2 of Chartered Accountant Act 1949, who holds a valid certificate of practice under subsection 1 of section 6 of the Act, right? And if you go to the Chartered Accountant Act, right? So here it is mentioned what? A chartered accountant means a chartered accountant as defined in CA Act 1949 and who holds a valid certificate of practice. Now, if you go to the CA Act 1949, it basically says that a chartered accountant is a person who is a member of the institute, that is, who is the member of ICAI. Okay? So, who can be appointed as an auditor of the company? A person only if he is a chartered accountant. And if you look at the definition which is given in Companies Act, it says that a chartered accountant as per CA Act 1949 plus who holds a valid certificate of practice, right? That person can be appointed as an auditor of the company. Is it clear? Very simple. Okay. So this is what is contained in subsection 1. Something else is also contained in subsection 1, which we'll be discussing after discussing subsection 2 of this section. Okay. I hope this is clear. Now subsection 2. It says, where a firm, including limited liability partnership, is appointed as an auditor of a company, only the partners who are chartered accountants shall be authorized to act and sign on behalf of the firm. Okay. Now, students, see if CA, he can be appointed as an auditor of a company as a sole proprietor, right? If CA is a partner in AB and Associates, so AB and Associates can be appointed as the auditor of the company as a partnership firm. And firm here includes what? LLP also, Limited Liability Partnership, registered under the LLP Act 2008. Clear? Is it clear? Now, if we go back to subsection 1, it says that, now read this point. So we have seen that a sole proprietor can be appointed as an auditor, a partnership firm can be appointed as an auditor of a company, and a LLP can also be appointed as an auditor of the company, right? It may be noted that a firm whereof majority of the partners practicing in India are qualified for appointment as aforesaid may be appointed by its firm name to be the auditor of the company. So this is basically talking about LLP. But in case of multidisciplinary firms, okay? So it basically says that, see, you all are aware that in case of LLP, like CS can also be a partner, MBA can also become a partner, CAs can also become a partner. Now there, if the majority of the partners who are practicing in India are qualified for appointment as aforesaid is whatever is said above. So it means that majority of the partners practicing in India are what? chartered accountant, then the firm can be appointed as the auditor of the company. Clear? Right? So if LLP is there consisting of, let's say, 5 partners, out of which 3 are CAs, 2 are CS. So since majority of the partners practicing in India are qualified as a aforesaid, that is, they are what, chartered accountant. So such firm can be appointed in its name as the auditor of a company, right? And subsection 2 says that in such a case where LLP is appointed as an auditor, then only the partners who are chartered accountants shall be authorized to act and sign on behalf of the firm. So if an LLP is appointed as an auditor of the company, and the LLP consists, let's say, of 3 CAs and 2 company secretary, right? Only the CA partner is authorized to act and sign as an auditor on behalf of the firm. It should not happen that the CS, company secretary, is conducting the audit and he is signing the audit report of the company, right? So let us read this point again. Where a firm, including LLP, limited liability partnership, is appointed as an auditor of a company, only the partners who are chartered accountants shall be authorized to act and sign on behalf of the firm, right? So the example that we took here, only out of these 3 partners of the firm. See, these 2 company secretaries are also the partner of the LLP, right? But only out of these 3, and in fact, you will see later on that the engagement partner out of these 3 who has been appointed as the engagement partner for the audit engagement, he can sign and act on behalf of the firm, right? Is it clear? Is it clear? So what we have done so far, let me just quickly tell me. In the first subsection, we have seen that a person can be appointed as an auditor of a company only if he is a chartered accountant, right? So this was our subsection 1. This was subsection 1. Secondly, subsection 1 also says that if a firm is to be appointed as an auditor of the company, then majority of the partners should be qualified as aforesaid. That is, majority of the partners in that firm should be what? Chartered accountants, right? And we have seen what is meant by the term chartered accountant as per the Companies Act and as per the Chartered Accountant Act 1949. Is it clear? Subsection 2 says that where a firm, including LLP, is appointed as a partner, then only the partner who is a chartered accountant, he can act and sign as the auditor of the company on behalf of the firm. It should not happen that the non-CA partners in the LLP, they are signing the audit report of any company. Okay? Bhumika, is it clear now? So Bhumika is saying, ma'am, it's clear. Let me just have a... So that is what Yashika, no. CAs are authorized to act as auditor of a company and to sign as auditor of the company. No other partner, like non-CA partners, cannot act as the statutory auditor of a company, or they cannot sign the audit report of a company. Clear? So Yashika, is it clear? Let me just have a look at your queries. So Syed Yasir Ahmed, we are right now talking about the audit with respect to a company. Okay? So for others also, please don't get confused. Abhi just concentrate that we are talking about the Companies Act 2013 and all the relevant provisions with respect to appointment, resignation, removal, the term of auditor with respect to a company. Okay. So Bhumika is saying clear, Loga Sundar is saying clear, it's clear to Darshani is also saying clear. Okay. So what is the name of section 141? It is eligibility, qualification and disqualification of an auditor. Okay. Subsection 1 says that only a person who is a chartered accountant, and where a firm is appointed, then majority of the partners practicing in India should be qualified as aforesaid. That is, they should be what? Chartered accountant. Subsection 2 says that if a firm including LLP is appointed as a partner, then only the chartered accountant partner is authorized to act and sign on behalf of the firm. Okay. So here we are discussing only with respect to what? Companies. Okay. Now subsection 3, which is again mark it as very, 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 very important from the point of view of your MCQs, your case scenarios, your descriptive type, your true false. Entire subsection 3. So this is what section 141 subsection 3, and as when we were discussing about what we are going to learn in this chapter, I told you that we'll be referring to Companies Audit and Auditor Rules 2014. So in fact, students, wherever in the Companies Act 2013, it is mentioned that in such manner as may be prescribed. So it means that you need to refer the relevant rules, right? So here with section 141 subsection 3, the relevant rules are what? Companies Audit and Auditor Rules 2014, popularly known as what? CAR 2014. And the relevant rule here is what? Rule 10. Okay. So now we are reading what? Section 141 subsection 3 along with Rule 10 of Companies Audit and Auditor Rules 2014. Right? So subsection 1 ने क्या बोला कि only if he's a chartered accountant and अगर majority of the partners practicing in India are also qualified as aforesaid. Subsection 2 ने क्या बोला? That only the CA, the chartered accountant partner is authorized to act and sign on behalf of the firm as the auditor of the company, right? Subsection 3 says that the following persons shall not be eligible for appointment as an auditor of the company. So section 141 is about what? Eligibility, qualification and disqualifications. So now we are discussing about what? Disqualifications. And trust me, you are going to find each and every disqualification very, very interesting. But yes, for that concentration, like I need your concentration for the next 2.5 hours. Okay? So following person shall not be eligible for appointment as an auditor of the company. Okay? So first is, so there are in total 9 such disqualifications which are given. I suppose clauses A to I are there. Yes, clauses A to I. Okay? So the first A clause says that a body corporate, and you all know that a body corporate includes limited liability partnership. And we have seen earlier in section 141 subsection 2 that LLP can be appointed as an auditor of the company. So that is why section 141 subsection 3 clause A says that a body corporate other than LLP. So the following person shall not be eligible for appointment. So कौन eligible नहीं है to be appointed as an auditor of the company? A body corporate other than what? LLP. Okay? Other than LLP. Is it clear? Is it clear? Clause B says that, again, read this and then the relevant clause. So the following person shall not be eligible for appointment as an auditor of the company is what? An officer or employee of the company. Students, as and when we'll proceed now, in all these 9 clauses, you will see that majority of the clauses now, the idea behind giving an ineligibility is what? That there should not be any threat to independence of the auditor. You have had a good discussion with respect to independence of auditor, the threats to independence, the safeguard to such threats. to the independence of the auditor in chapter number 1. Hana? So you will see that the basic idea behind any of the ineligibility is what? That there should not be any threat to independence of the auditor, right? So now let us try to understand this B clause with the help of an example. So let's say ABC Limited is our client, is the company for which the auditor is to be appointed. Now, there is an accounts department whereby, let's say, Mr. Darshan is working as the senior accounts officer. Okay? Now, if he is appointed as the auditor of the company, or let's say an employee is appointed as the auditor of ABC Limited, now tell me, is CA Darshan, he's a chartered accountant, right? Is he in a position to tell the directors of the company that, see, the financial statement do not reflect a true and fair view? Quickly tell me yes or no. Quickly tell me. An officer or employee of the company, is he in a position to tell the seniors, to tell the higher management, to tell those charged with governance that the financial statement do not reflect a true and fair view? Quickly send in your replies. So, Syed, Darshan, Swati, Rajiv, Kiran, Yashika. Absolutely correct. See Darshan, he is a chartered accountant. He's having an interest in this organization now. His salary has to come. Any bonus payment has to come. Hana? He's working with ABC Limited. Hana? So he is not independent. His opinion cannot be independent. He'll not be in a position to give an objective analysis of the financial statements of the company, Hana, because there will be influence on him from his seniors, as he has interest in the company, that is ABC Limited, Hana. So if you look at the intention behind, introducing this ineligibility is what? That the independence should not come in danger. Okay? So an officer or employee of the company are not eligible for appointment as an auditor of the company, and section 2 clause 59 of the Companies Act 2013 explains the definition of this term officer. So students, you as such need not learn these definitions, which I have given extra for discussion. These are just for discussion. So officer includes any director, manager or key managerial personnel, that is KMP, or any person in accordance with whose directions or instructions the board of directors or any one or more of the directors is or accustomed to act. Okay? So here, let's say this was an example of employee of the company. Okay? So if with respect to officer, if we take that, let's say CA Darshan is one of the directors of the company. Now, can he be appointed as an auditor of the company? No, right? Because of this ineligibility given by section 141 subsection 3. Okay? So is it clear? So yes, self-interest threat. Okay? Now, see, there is a doubt with respect to subsection 1 and subsection 2. So I'm not saying that only LLP can be appointed as an auditor of the company. So can CAA be appointed as an auditor of the company as a sole proprietor? So the answer is yes. Can CAA, if he is, let's say, a partner in ABC and Associates, can he be appointed as the auditor of the company as a firm, as a partnership firm? So the answer is again yes. If this is an LLP, so can CAA on behalf of ABC LLP, can LLP be appointed as an auditor of the company? So the answer is yes. Is it clear, Darshan? There was a doubt now. ठीक है? तो अभी we are doing what? Section 141 subsection 3 read with Rule 10 of Companies Audit and Auditor Rule 2014, whereby we have seen two clauses, that is, the following person shall not be eligible to be appointed as an auditor of the company. कौन-कौन है? कोई भी body corporate other than a limited liability partnership, and B says an officer or employee of the company. ठीक है? ठीक है? Is it clear? Now the third clause says that so we have done these two. A person who is a partner or who is in employment of officer or employee of the company. So an extension to clause B, whereby it says that a person who is a partner or who is in employment of the officer or employee of the company. Okay? So let's say CA Darshan was the officer, right? So CA Shubham is partner of CA Darshan. Okay? So partner of officer of the company can also not to be appointed as an auditor of the company. Again, why? Independence. So if CA Darshan and CA Shubham, they are partners in an audit firm, and CA Darshan is an officer of, let's say, ABC Limited. So in this case, CA Shubham can also not to be appointed as the auditor of the company ABC Limited. Same way, if there is a person who is in employment of CA Darshan, then again he cannot be appointed as the auditor of the company. Clear, simple. And again, what is the logic? Again, independence. See, auditor is giving an expert opinion. When the auditor gives his opinion with respect to the financial statement of the company, the credit worthiness of such financial statement increases. The various users of the audited financial statement, your shareholders, your, let's say, the bankers, income tax authorities, the creditors, the debtors, their confidence with respect to audited financial statement increases. The reliability, credit worthiness of such statements increases. So the independence should be intact, of the auditor should be intact. He should be in a position to give an unbiased opinion, right? And he should not come under the influence of the client organization. So that is why such ineligibility clauses are there. Okay, is it clear? So we have done 3. See, I'll keep on revising, repeating it, so that it sets into your mind. So 141 subsection 3, along with Rule 10 of Companies Audit CAR 2014, we have done 3 clauses. The first says a body corporate is not eligible except for LLP, an officer or employee of the company, and a person who is a partner or is in employment of the officer or employee of the company. Okay? Tell me, are the 3 clauses clear? Then we'll proceed with clause D. Quickly send in your replies. Bhumika, your query is not clear. If you can reframe it. See, why are you reading section 141 subsection 3 separately from subsection 1 and 2? Read section 141 as a whole. ना section 141 में क्या बोला कि कोई भी individual, कोई भी person, if he is what, chartered accountant, and अगर firm है तो majority of the partners should be practicing in India. Subsection 2 में बोला अगर firm है तो LLP भी हो जाएगा, provided उसमें act और sign कौन कर रहा है, the chartered accountant. Subsection 3 में क्या बोला है, ये थोड़ी ना when subsection 3 is applicable, 1 and 2 are not applicable. They will exist. 3 is talking about what? The following persons are not eligible. राइट. सो बॉडी कॉर्पोरेट अदर देन LLP, बॉडी कॉर्पोरेट में आपका कंपनी भी आ जाता है, आपका LLP भी आ जाता है. तो कंपनी इज नॉट एलिजिबल बट LLP इज. वेयर इज इट मेंशन? इट इज स्पेसिफिकली मेंशनड हियर. ठीक है, हो गया? इज इट क्लियर? Yes, Shubham, this is possible. So students, it feels so good now. There is a message from a student of batch number 6, Mr. Prateek, and he has mentioned that, good evening, ma'am. One of your students from batch 6 here gave my audit paper on Sunday. Was very easy because of your teaching. Thanks a lot, ma'am. So students, see, I also want all of you to send me such messages in batch number 8. And how will that be possible? Again, listen to these sessions attentively with concentration. Follow the techniques that we discuss. Follow your own techniques. Start studying. Hana? Ask all the queries that you have. But yes, hard work and smart work is what is the need of the hour. Yeah. So all the best, Prateek. I'm sure you will pass your CA exams with flying colors. My best wishes are with you. So students, is it clear? So Bhumika is saying, ma'am, it's clear. Okay? So we have done clauses A, B, and C. Now point number 4. Okay? So keep this in mind. What? Let me just mark it. Just a minute. Following person shall not be eligible for appointment as an auditor of the company. Okay? Now, so we are on point number 4. So a person, a relative, his relative, or his partner. So let me just simplify it. Let's say Mr. X is not eligible to be appointed as an auditor of the company if Mr. X himself or his relative, let's say Mrs. X, or his partner, let's say Mr. Y. So we are talking about CAX, who is a partner in XY and Associates. And his partner is what? CAY. Is it clear? So what is this clause reference to? This point basically wants to say that Mr. X is not eligible to be appointed as auditor of the company if he himself or his relative or his partner. So this disqualification, this ineligibility will be attracted even if there are 3 things which are explained in this point, even if any of those 3 things are done by either Mr. X himself or his relative or his partner. The definition of the term relative, let us have a look at that definition. So let me just take you through the module. Students, abhi ke liye na, I'll request you to please don't start making different kind of MCQs with respect to this topic at this moment. Abhi there are 9 points that we have to discuss. First of all, let us just complete all those 9 points. Then let us solve the questions that are given in the module. Then I'll answer to your MCQs that you draft for me. Hana? Abhi I cannot, like someone of you are saying, ma'am, can this be appointed? And now I know that when we'll be discussing relative ka definition, a number of MCQs will come. कि मैम अच्छा ये relative है, ये appoint हो सकता है. अभी stop your questions. Stop framing the MCQs. Otherwise, any query you can always send. है ना? But अभी questions as such frame मत करो. Let us go through all the 9 clauses. Let us go through the illustrations that are given in the module. Then we can have a discussion. Yeah. So the term relative as defined under Companies Act 2013 means, so clause 77, section 2, clause 77. of the Companies Act 2013, it defines the term relative. It means anyone who is related to another as member of HUF, right? So means anyone who is related to another as member of HUF. Okay? So if we are talking about CAX, and if any person is there in his HUF, so that will be covered as what? The relative of CAX. Husband, wife, they are relative. Father including stepfather, relative. Mother including stepmother, relative. Son including stepson, relative. Son's wife, relative. Daughter, daughter's husband, relative. Brother including stepbrother, sister including stepsister. So this is the list given in Companies Act 2013. So with respect to the different laws, there are different definition of term relative, right? So here we are talking about what? With respect to Companies Act 2013. So this is the definition given by Section 2, Clause 77 to the Companies Act, whereby the term relative is defined as one. The first is what? A person who is related to another as a member of HUF. Secondly, husband, wife, father, mother, son, brother, sister, and all these include step also. Then daughter, son's wife, and daughter's husband. Is it clear? Is it clear? Okay. So this is the definition of the term relative. Okay. So now we are discussing section 141 subsection 3, and this is what? D point, Hana. And as I told you that this point contains 3 things. Okay. And it is applicable with respect to whom? With respect to the person himself. That is, if we have to see the eligibility of Mr. X, then as per this clause, we will have to see that Mr. X or any of his relatives. So for simplicity, I have taken example of Mrs. X or his partner, that is Mr. Y, because we have taken the example that he is a partner in XY and associates. Okay? A CA firm. Okay? So these persons should not to do these 3 things in the company itself. So let's say we are talking about the appointment of CAX in ABC Limited. Okay? So for that, who are the persons which will be seen? Mr. X, the relative of Mr. X, or the partner of Mr. X. They are not supposed to undertake these 3 activities. What are these 3 activities which we will discuss? Where? Now I am answering to where. So in the company, that is in ABC Limited, and not only in the company, we are looking at the eligibility of Mr. X as an auditor in ABC Limited. Okay? But these 3 activities should not be undertaken by Mr. X, his relative or partner in ABC Limited, in holding of ABC Limited, in subsidiary of ABC Limited, in associate of ABC Limited, or in any other subsidiary of the holding of ABC Limited. Okay? So try to understand, है ना? So यहाँ पर 3 लोग कौन है? Person, relative, partners. उनको 3 काम नहीं करने हैं. कहाँ? या तो कंपनी में, या उसकी होल्डिंग में, या उसकी सब्सिडरी में, या उसकी एसोसिएट में, या सब्सिडरी ऑफ द होल्डिंग. ठीक है? सो लेट्स से एबीसी लिमिटेड की अगर कोई सब्सिडरी है, ठीक है, सो वहां पर भी either Mr. X, Mrs. X, or Mr. Y, they should not hold any security. There are certain exceptions that we'll discuss, but let's just try to understand. Same way, Mr. X, Mrs. X, Mr. Y should not be indebted for an amount exceeding rupees 5 lakh where in ABC Limited or holding of ABC Limited or subsidiary of ABC Limited, associate of ABC Limited or subsidiary of holding of ABC Limited. ठीक है? ठीक है? Same way, Mr. X, Mrs. X or Mr. Y should not give any guarantee for third person exceeding rupees 1 lakh in to ABC Limited, holding subsidiary, associate या subsidiary of the holding of ABC Limited. ठीक है. Now let us discuss these three activities one by one. ठीक है. So first of all, समझ आया ये वाला ineligibility clause को देखने के लिए, though we are looking at ineligibility of CAX, but हमारे रडार में कौन आ जाएगा, like who all will be referring to? Mr. X, any of his relative as defined in clause 77 section 2 of the Companies Act, और partner of Mr. X. And कहाँ पर देखना है? कंपनी में तो देखना ही है, for which the CAX is to be appointed as an auditor. Holding of that company, subsidiary of that company, associate of that company, subsidiary of holding of that company, there also all these three things should not happen. ठीक है? Now, what are these three things? So, first of all, so where is it contained? Section 141, subsection 3, and this is what D clause. Okay? So, it says that Mr. X, his relative or his partner, should not hold any security, should not hold any security in the company, in the holding of the company, in the subsidiary of the company, in the associate of the company, or in the subsidiary of the holding of such company. Okay? So if Mr. X is holding, let's say, share of ₹100 in ABC Limited, he cannot be appointed as an auditor of the company. Okay? Same way in our example, if Mr. Y is holding the share of, let's say, ₹200 in holding of ABC Limited, let's say holding of ABC Limited is MNO Limited, then Mr. X cannot be appointed as an auditor of the company. है ना? तो हम क्या देख रहे हैं? Mr. X की eligibility with respect to the appointment as an auditor in ABC Limited. But हमारे radar में like पर हमने किस को consider किया है? All the relative which are defined as we have discussed, and the partner of Mr. X, है ना? Plus, not only in ABC Limited, but also in the holding of ABC Limited, in the subsidiary of ABC Limited, in the associate of ABC Limited, and if the holding of ABC Limited is having any other subsidiary, like if MNO is having, let's say, DEF as a subsidiary, then in DEF also, they should not to hold any security. Okay? Now, there is an exception. Okay? Students, very very important point है ना? आपका MCQs के सिनेरियो अगर मेरे को आपको टेस्ट देना है तो I'll definitely give you a question from this. ठीक है? So be with me. So what is the exception to this? It says that, however, the relative may hold the securities relative. So this exception is only with respect to relative, and that too, the security up to a face value, not the market value, face value of ₹1 lakh. Is it clear? So let me just take you through the module. So see, a person who, that is in our example Mr. X, or his relative, that is Mrs. X, or partner, that is Y, is holding any security of or interest in the company or its holding, subsidiary of its holding, or associate or subsidiary of such holding. Okay? It may be noted that, very very important, relative may hold a security or interest in the company of the face value not exceeding 1 lakh. Is it talking about market value? No. Face value not exceeding ₹1 lakh, right? Now you may say, ma'am, what if the relative, if Mrs. X holds security with the face value exceeding ₹1 lakh? Then there is a provision given in this section. It says that in the event of acquiring any security or interest by a relative, so only abhi relative Mrs. X की या any relative out of that list की बात हो रही है. We are not talking about Mr. X or partner. So if any relative, if in the event of acquiring any security by a relative above the threshold limit, threshold is what, 1 lakh here, corrective action to maintain the limits as specified above. So corrective action क्या होएगा? selling of the shares, है ना, can be taken by the auditor within 60 days of such acquisition of security or interest. जिस दिन the face value of the shares securities acquired by Mrs. X have exceeded 1 lakh. From that day, a period of 60 days has been given to Mr. X to take a corrective action. अब corrective action क्या होगा कि Mrs. X को relative की definition से तो नहीं हटा सकते, तो what will be the corrective action? To sell off the shares, है ना, to sell off such shares, right? Is it clear? I'm not answering to any MCQ अभी, ठीक है? Such an interesting discussion ना, अभी discuss करते हैं, उसके बाद answer करेंगे, ठीक है? तो अभी तक हमने क्या पढ़ा? हमने पढ़ा कि हम किसकी बात कर रहे हैं? We are looking at the eligibility of Mr. X with respect to appointment as a statutory auditor of ABC Limited, ठीक है? But this clause is so vast, ये कहता है कि सिर्फ Mr. X को मत देखो, relative of Mr. X, partner of Mr. X. Also, do not look only in ABC Limited. ABC Limited, its holding, its subsidiary, its associate और subsidiary of holding of ABC Limited में भी आपको देखना है. क्या देखना है? पहला point क्या कहता है? That all these three, person, relative, partner, the thumb rule is what? They should not to hold any security in these 5 kind of companies. ठीक है? अब I'll say like this only. All these three should not hold any security in all these 5 companies. ठीक है? But the relative may hold the securities up to a face value. So you may get MCQ that Mrs. X is holding the security having a market value of 5 lakhs and face value is 90,000. So ineligibility hai, quickly tell me, acha, market value is 5 lakhs, face value is 90,000. Is the ineligibility attracted? Quickly, I need answers. No. Why? Because this particular point is with respect to what? Exception is with respect to what? Face value, not market value. ठीक है? Further, if the amount is exceeded, the threshold limit is exceeded by the threshold limit. Threshold limited is what? 1 lakh. Then a grace period of 60 days is given to the auditor to take corrective action and 60 days from the date of acquisition of such shares. जिस दिन वो शेयर्स एक्वायर किए वहां से 60 दिनों का टाइम है आपके पास, आप सेल ऑफ कर दो शेयर्स को, ठीक है? भूमिका, why are you writing she is not eligible? We are discussing about Mr. X, so you need to write he is not ineligible. That is, he is eligible. Don't get confused. Bhumika, is it clear? Please check your answer. Whatever you have written, I'm getting confused. आप इसको दोबारा से लिख के दो, Bhumika. ठीक है? So this was with respect to first activity by these 3 persons in these 5 companies. ठीक है? The second says that Mr. X is not eligible to be appointed as auditor of ABC Limited if Mr. X or Mrs. X or Mr. Y. So abhi I am taking our example, is indebted to the company or its holding or subsidiary or associate or subsidiary of the holding of ABC Limited for an amount exceeding rupees 5 lakhs. Indebted का क्या मतलब होता है? That these 3 persons like Mr. X or any of the relative or partner have taken some amount from the company. They owe an amount exceeding rupees 5 lakhs to the company. अगर ऐसा है, then also there will be what? Ineligibility. देखो मेरा, suppose I am Mr. X, ठीक है? I have to give ABC Limited 5 lakh rupees. Now, my opinion can always be biased, na? I can always come under the influence of management of ABC Limited कि आप ऐसा opinion दे दो, आप मेरे को 5 लाख रुपए मत देना. again independence, है ना? So if let us just go through the module. So okay, बाद में पढ़ेंगे. So what was the line? The following person shall not be eligible for appointment as an auditor of the company if the person who or his relative or partner is indebted to the company or its subsidiary or its holding or associate or subsidiary of such holding company in excess of rupees 5 lakhs. In excess of rupees 5 lakhs. Equal to का sign नहीं है. In excess of rupees 5 lakhs. ठीक है. So again, अब ये disqualification क्यों आया है? ये 5 lakhs क्यों आया है? ये 4 lakhs क्यों नहीं है? Equal to. This is law. ठीक है. You need to follow this, and this is what, again, with respect to all three persons, like 3 में relative का definition will come with respect to all 5 kinds of company, and the amount is what indebted is to O. Like if Mr. X owes to ABC Limited any amount exceeding rupees 5 lakh, let's say 6 lakhs, he cannot be appointed as an auditor of the company. Basically, he has taken like udhar liya hua companies. He has taken money. ठीक है? Yashika, it is subsidiary of such holding company. So if ABC Limited का holding is MNO Limited and MNO Limited का एक और subsidiary है DEF Limited. So such holding. ठीक है? Yashika, is it clear? Like any other subsidiary of the holding of the company. Yes, absolutely correct, Sivaranjani. If Mr. X or Mr. Y, they hold the share of ABC Limited of even 1 rupee, they cannot be appointed as an auditor of the company. वो जो 1 lakh face value का shares दिया हुआ है, 60 days का grace period दिया हुआ है, that is given only and only for a relative. ठीक है, Sivaranjani, is it clear? ठीक है. Now the third clause, third point, then I'll take you through this entire part from the module. So if Mr. X, his relative or partner, has given guarantee in favor of a third person to the company ABC Limited or its holding subsidiary, associate or subsidiary of the holding of ABC Limited for an amount in excess of rupees 1 lakh, has given a guarantee or provided any security in connection with the indebtedness of any third person. तो यहाँ तो खुद उधार लिया हुआ था. यहाँ अगर किसी और थर्ड पार्टी ने कंपनी से उधार लिया हुआ था, and all these 3 persons have given a guarantee or security to the company or its subsidiary or its holding or associate or subsidiary of such holding in excess of rupees 1 lakh. अगर ऐसा है, then Mr. X is not eligible to be appointed as an auditor of the company. Is it clear? Is it clear? Now let us just bring all these things together, and up we will discuss certain MCQs. But we don't shoot your MCQs at me. First of all, let us just go through the module. देखो. Okay? So I always tell you, whenever you are reading these points, now keep this point in mind. The following person shall not be eligible for appointment as an auditor of the company, namely. So we are at this point. A person who or his relative or partner is holding any security. So any में तो 1 rupee का भी आ गया, 2 rupee का भी आ गया, 100 rupees का भी आ गया, 1 lakh का भी आ गया, any security or interest in the company or its subsidiary or its holding, associate or subsidiary of such holding company. It may be noted that relative may hold a security or interest in the company exceeding rupees 1 lakh. So very important. Students may note that in the event of acquiring any security or interest by a relative above the threshold prescribed limit, corrective action to maintain the limits as specified above, that is within 1 lakh. जैसे अगर 1 lakh का है, आपने 20,000 का bonus shares were declared, तो 1,20,000 हो गया, which exceeds, let's say, the face value of this is what face value. So the auditor may sell off the excess of 20,000 within 60 days from the date of acquisition of such interest. Okay. Now, very, very important, these 3 points. The value of shares of rupees 1 lakh that can be held. Just a minute. Just a minute. Is the face value and not the market value. Right? Is the face value and not the market value. The limit of rupees 1 lakh would be applicable where the securities are held by the relative of an auditor and not where the securities are held by the auditor himself or his partner. In case of the auditor or his partner, securities of even a small value shall be a disqualification. Very, very important. Hana, to Sivaranjani, the answer to your query. Grace period of 60 days for corrective action shall apply in respect of securities held by relatives. This would not apply to the auditor or his partner. Again, very, very important. You may get true false that Mr. Y, who is partner of Mr. X, he gets security of face value exceeding 1 lakh, and within a period of 20 days, the threshold limit is met. Now, whether there will be ineligibility. So, first and foremost, such 1 lakh face value exception or such 60 days grace period is not applicable in case of a partner. Okay? Relative we have seen. Okay? Now, is indebted to the company, subsidiary, its holding, associate or subsidiary of such holding in excess of rupees 5 lakh, or has given guarantee or provided in security in connection with the indebtedness of any third person to the company or its subsidiary holding or associate or subsidiary of such holding in excess of rupees 1 lakh. Okay? Now, answer to this question. Example 1. Hana, uske baad give me your MCQs to solve, but abhi send me a reply with respect to example 1, which is given on page number 10.4. So, Darshan, abhi to we are talking about this thing only, that after the date of appointment, let's say Mr. X was appointed, right? Audit is going on. Now, Mrs. X acquires listen to this, students. So, let's say Mr. X is appointed as an auditor of ABC Limited. The audit is going on. Now, on a particular date, Mrs. X acquires shares exceeding face value of rupees 1 lakh. Now, from that date, 60 days grace period has been given to Mr. X to take corrective action. Okay? And if he doesn't take the corrective action, then what will happen is given in subsection 4 of section 141. ठीक है? अगर corrective action नहीं लिया, अगर partner ने security कोई acquire कर ली after the appointment, then what is going to happen? That we will be discussing when we will be doing section 141 subsection 4. Darshan, is it clear? Darshan, is it clear? Sivranjani, is your doubt clear? Yashika, you also send in a reply. Is it clear? Okay. Now send in your replies for example 1. So see, Mr. A practicing chartered accountant, is holding securities of XYZ Limited having a face value of 900. Whether Mr. A is qualified as appointment as an auditor of XYZ Limited. So see, the face value is less than rupees 1 lakh, right? Am I right? So no, I'm not right. Why? Because here, Mr. A himself, the person himself is holding security, and the person cannot, the CA himself or his partner cannot hold security of even a very small amount. Okay? So Sayyid Yasir, Darshan, Yashika, Iksha, Kitan, Logasundar, Varsha, Hanshu, Himanshu. Every one of you is absolutely correct. Read this example too quickly. Quickly send in your replies. So Mr. P, a practicing chartered accountant, and Mr. Q, the relative of Mr. P. So अभी किसकी बात हो रही है? The relative is holding securities of ABC Limited having face value of rupees 90,000. Whether Mr. P is qualified from being appointed as an auditor of what is the company name? ABC Limited. So Mr. P is a practicing chartered accountant and इनका relative कौन है? Mr. Q. Mr. Q is holding securities of face value of 90,000 in ABC Limited. So whether Mr. P is qualified, quickly send in your replies. Quickly send in your replies. Navan Nathan, your query will be resolved. Wait. After once we would have completed section 141, entire section, including all the subsections, your query will be resolved. So Kiran is saying eligible, Yashika is saying eligible, every one of you is saying eligible. Right? Why? Because the face value is less than 1 lakh. Okay? Now solve this question number 4th. Third is your homework. 4th one. Mr. RM in company is an audit firm having partners CAR, CAM. The firm has been offered the appointment as an auditor of N Limited for the financial year 16-17. Mr. B, the relative of CAR, is holding shares face value 10, having market value of 1,50,000. Whether Messrs. RM and company is disqualified to be appointed as an auditor of the company. So 5,000 shares है, face value 10 rupees है, market value 1 lakh से ऊपर है, 1,50,000. So quickly send in your replies. Jyoti, with respect to example number 2, check your answer again. Na? Q is holding the security, but the face value is what? Less than 1 lakh. Na? So disqualification थोड़ी ना आएगा ineligibility. Less than 1 lakh है ना? Jyoti, check your answer. Quickly send in your replies with respect to example 4. So here also see the face value is what? 50,000 only. Though the market value is 1,50,000, but exception के लिए तो हमें क्या देखना है? Face value ना. So again there will be no ineligibility. Is not disqualified for appointment as an auditor as CAR, the relative, is holding the securities which is within the limit as prescribed in section 141 subsection 3 clause D point I of the Companies Act 2013. Varsha is correct. Sanjit is also correct. Logasundar, check your answer. Rajiv Kumar, check your answer. Dhanshu is correct. Sayed, rewrite your answer. Your answer is correct, logic is not correct. Diksha is correct. Bhumika is correct. Suraj is correct. Yashika, check your answer. ठीक है? Easy है ना? Is it clear? Is it clear? So let us just quickly see as to what we have done so far. So कि अभी तक हमने क्या पढ़ा है? हमने क्या पढ़ा? कुछ भी ज्यादा नहीं पढ़ा है, but very very important. So let us just see, है ना? Clarity रखो mind में, don't get confused. Section 141 subsection 1 says that a person can be appointed as a partner, as an auditor, only if he is what? Chartered accountant. So a chartered accountant can be appointed as an auditor. So can a firm be appointed as a partner? तो next में क्या बोला गया यहीं पर? Firm can be appointed if the majority of the partners practicing in India are qualified as aforesaid, that is they are what? CA. ठीक है? 141 सबसेक्शन 2 में क्या बोला गया कि अगर आप फॉर्म को करते हो अपॉइंट इंक्लूडिंग एलएलपी, तो यहाँ पे क्लैरिफाई हो जाता है कि एलएलपी को भी आप अपॉइंट कर सकते हो. Then only the CA partner is authorized to act and sign on behalf of the firm. CS से साइन करवाओगे. देखो एलएलपी में तो मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी फर्म होती है ना, यहाँ पर तो आपका CS, CA, MBA कोई भी पार्टनर बन सकता है ना. तो अब अगर इस एलएलपी को अपॉइंट किया है एज ऑडिटर ऑफ एबीसी लिमिटेड, तो ये थोड़ी ना CS विल साइन. CA इज एलिजिबल टू, ही इज ऑथराइज्ड टू एक्ट एंड साइन एज एन ऑडिटर ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ द फर्म. ठीक है? 141 subsection 3 का क्या कहता है? Along with Rule 10 of CAR 2014, it says that the following persons are not eligible. ठीक है? पहले क्या बोला? बॉडी कॉर्पोरेट. बट बॉडी कॉर्पोरेट में तो एलएलपी भी आ जाता है, कंपनी भी आ जाता है. तो यहाँ पे क्लैरिफाई क्या किया? अदर देन एलएलपी. एलएलपी को तो कर सकते हैं अपॉइंट. ठीक है? बी में क्या बोला? ऑफिसर और एम्प्लॉय ऑफ द कंपनी. C is an extension of this only, whereby we saw that partner or an employee of officer or employee of the company. ठीक है? D में क्या बोला? Any person is not eligible. मतलब Mr. X eligible नहीं होगा अगर Mr. X, any relative of Mr. X or partner of Mr. Y, they hold any security where in ABC Limited या इसकी होल्डिंग में या इसकी सब्सिडरी में और एसोसिएट में और सब्सिडरी ऑफ होल्डिंग ऑफ एबीसी लिमिटेड. क्या नहीं करना? एनी सिक्योरिटी होल्डिंग करने. बट इसका एक्सेप्शन क्या है कि मिसेस एक्स होल्ड कर सकती हैं कितना? फेस वैल्यू ऑफ 1 लाख. एंड इफ इट एक्सीड्स द थ्रेशोल्ड लिमिट, 60 डेज का ग्रेस पीरियड है टू टेक करेक्टिव एक्शन फ्रॉम द डेट ऑफ एक्विजिशन, जिस दिन शेयर्स एक्सीड कर गए 1 लाख. ठीक है? और इज इंडेटेड, मतलब उधार तो नहीं लिया हुआ, कम इनको पैसा तो नहीं देना. किसका? इन सब कंपनीज का. कितना? इन एक्सेस ऑफ 5 लाख. या हैव गिवन अ गारंटी और सिक्योरिटी ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ इंडेटनेस ऑफ एनी थर्ड पार्टी. तो खुद ने तो उधार नहीं लिया, पर किसी थर्ड पार्टी ने लिया था, फॉर विच these persons has given security or guarantee to these companies in amount exceeding rupees 1 lakh, then there will be ineligibility. As simple as that. है ना? अभी तक हमने ये पढ़ा है. Quickly send in your replies. Is it clear? Is it clear? Are you finding it easy, students? I am trying to make it very easy. I am repeating the clauses, the sections again and again, so that it gets set into your mind, है ना? And I hope the understanding is clear. So Kiran is saying, ma'am, clear but a little confusing. हाँ, अभी first time read कर रही हो ना? Do one thing ना, in the break along with the water ना, just go through these the topics that we have covered so far, है ना? फिर after that it will not appear using to you. So Suraj is saying, ma'am, not easy, but you have made it easy. Chalo, that's good. ठीक है. So we will do one thing. We will take a break of 10 minutes here, and after the break, we'll cover the rest of the 5 points in this section. ठीक है. So a quick break of 10 minutes, and meanwhile, you can send in your queries. So students, I hope you all are back after the break. So Sudhanshu, which point is not clear? Please send. So you're talking about this point has given guarantee. Please clarify, Hannah. So this is basically saying that if Mr. X or Mrs. X or Mr. Y, they have given guarantee or security in connection with indebtedness of any third person to these companies in excess of rupees 1 lakh. क्योंकि देखो ना, अगर कल को वो 1 lakh is not been paid by that third person, then guarantee दिया है तो Mr. S, Mrs. X or Mr. Y are indirectly basically indebted to the company ना. So Sudhanshu, is it clear? Shivangini, it is with respect to all 5 companies, subsidiary, holding, associate, subsidiary of holding. Darshan, abhi we are not talking about internal auditor, है ना? That you must have done section 138 in chapter number 4, है ना? Abhi we are talking about statutory auditor of a company. ठीक है? Shivangini, is it clear? हिमांशु, सीए फर्म या तो प्रोप्राइटरशिप होती है या पार्टनरशिप होती है या एलएलपी होती है, ठीक है? तो जो आप ऑप्शन लिख रहे हो वो होती नहीं है सीए फर्म. Shivangini, is your doubt clear? Darshan, yours. Himanshu, yours. Please send in a reply. ठीक है? Now with respect to clause E. ठीक है? So it basically says a person is not eligible if that person or the firm. So if Mr. X is to be appointed as a partner, then he himself. Or if XY and Associates is to be appointed as a partner, then XY and Associates itself. Has directly or indirectly any business relationship with the company, subsidiary, holding, associate, subsidiary of holding or associate in such manner as may be prescribed. So let me just take you through the module only. So we are saying that a person is not eligible if the person or a firm, whether directly or indirectly, has business relationship with the company or its subsidiary or its holding, associate or subsidiary of such a company or associate company. So in addition to those 5 types of company, क्या रह गया? What is the addition? Or associate company, subsidiary of such holding or subsidiary of associate company of such nature as may be prescribed. And when it is mentioned in the act as may be prescribed, we refer to the rule. Okay? So it basically says that if Mr. X or XY and associates are having a business relationship, whether directly or indirectly, with this ABC Limited or its subsidiary or its holding or associate company or subsidiary of such holding or associate company, then also there will be what? Ineligibility. Okay? Now, what is meant by business relationship? So it says that business relationship shall be construed as transaction entered into for a commercial purpose. Any transaction entered into for a commercial purpose. Okay? Now tell me, let's say if ABC Limited is a company which is an airline company. So in that case, as per this clause, Mr. X cannot buy the ticket of ABC Limited Airlines, ABC Airlines, because then to it will be what? A business relationship. Same way, let's say ABC is what? It is a chain of hotels. So if we go by this clause, Mr. X and his wife, let's say he cannot go with his family on a dinner in the hotel ABC. है ना? So that is why there is certain exception. So यहाँ पर what we are discussing, that the firm or the person, they are not eligible if they directly or indirectly have a business relationship with all these 5-6 types of companies. ठीक है? Company, subsidiary, holding, associate, subsidiary of such holding or associate company. Business relationship means any transaction entered into for a commercial purpose, except. So let's say we are talking about Mr. X and ABC Limited. If ABC Limited is, let's say, a telecom company, or let's say it is airline company, or it is a chain of hotels, okay? Or let's say it's a hospital. So if Mr. X buys the SIM card of this telecom company, or uses the airlines, or uses the hotel services or hospital services of ABC Limited at arm's length price as a customer in the ordinary course of business, then there will not be any business relationship as such. Except, so this is an exception. Okay? So let's see, commercial transactions which are in the ordinary course of business of the company at arm's length price, that is the price at which such service is made available to any other unrelated party at the same price that service has been available to our Mr. X, like sale of products or services to the auditor as the ordinary course of business by companies engaged in the business of telecommunications, airlines, hospitals, hotels, and such other similar businesses. Okay? Is it clear? Same way. Now this point number 1, vice versa. That is, second number point में क्या था? Services are been provided by ABC Limited and services are been used by Mr. X. Now vice versa. That is, let's say if Mr. X is giving a tax audit service to ABC Limited. So this is also a business relationship now. But it says that if any of the transaction is on account of nature of professional services which are permitted to the auditor by the Companies Act or the CA Act 1949 or the rules regulations made thereunder. Students, when we will be doing section 144, ना देखो यहाँ पर क्या था 144 का name, auditor not to render certain services. So you will see that there is a list of prohibited services कि अगर a person is a statutory auditor of the company, he cannot give all these services, certain services which are given in section 144. Tax audit is not covered there. Okay? Now come back to this example. So if Mr. X is giving a service of tax audit to ABC Limited, so as per to clause E, it again becomes what? Business relationship. But again, this is what? An exception. So commercial transactions which are in the nature of professional services permitted to be rendered by auditor or audit firm under the Act. Under the Act is Companies Act 2013 or CA Act 1949 and the rules regulations made under those acts. Yes, Darshan, it is for all these companies only and similar businesses. Okay? And Shivranjini, nahi, abhi we are not talking about internal auditor. So Shivangini, it is also given in the module na, that only up to face value of 1 lakh. Okay? So this E clause, it says that a person is not eligible if the firm or the person, whether directly or indirectly, has business relationship with the company or its subsidiary or its holding or associate company or subsidiary of such holding or associate company of such nature as may prescribe, right? However, there is and what is meant by business relationship? Any transaction entered into for a commercial purpose. However, there is an exception, that is, first में क्या है? If the auditor is giving any permitted services to ABC Limited, that is, Mr. X is giving any permitted services to ABC Limited, and second में क्या है? If Mr. X is using the service of ABC Limited, provided ordinary course of business में हो, arm's length price में हो, as a customer हो, then, and with respect to telecom, airlines, hotels, hospitals, and such similar businesses, then there is no such ineligibility. Okay, is it clear? Is it clear? Okay. Now let's see point number F. It says that a person is not eligible if a person whose relative is a director or who is in employment of the company as a director or KMP, key managerial personnel. So let us just have a look at it. So this we have done. So who is, just a minute. So this is point number 5. So a person whose relative, so Mr. X, if his relative, let's say for simplicity, Mrs. X, is a director or key managerial person in ABC Limited, then also Mr. X is not eligible to be appointed as an auditor of ABC Limited. Why? Again, independence. Because Mrs. X, who is having a significant position as a director or KMP in the company, she can always influence the decisions of Mr. X. And she can also influence the financial statements of ABC Limited. So simple. So a person, so Mr. X, whose relative is a director or KMP. Is it clear? Okay. Now the next point. So a person is not eligible if a person is in full-time employment elsewhere, or the person or a partner of the firm is holding appointment as its partner on the date of such appointment of more than 20 companies. So what is this? So in order to understand this point number G, just go back to chapter number 1. If you remember, you all have done SQC1 in chapter number 1, whereby we have seen that the quality of the auditor should get reflected in his work. Standard on quality control you all have done. Now tell me, if a person is already employed somewhere else, he is doing a 9 to 6 job, already he is employed, is he in a position to deliver quality work? Is he in a position to give an quality expert opinion on the financial statements of a company? Quickly send in your replies, yes or no. Quickly send in your replies. So no. Okay? So in order to understand this point number G, just keep in mind that quality work is expected out of an auditor of a company. Okay? So if a person is in full-time employment elsewhere, he cannot be appointed as an auditor of a company. This is the first part of this clause. Or let us now read it from the module. A person who is in full-time employment. So if you get a question that Mr. X, he is working as a, let's say in a company, having a job from 9 to 6, can he be appointed as an auditor of a any other company? So the answer is no. Okay? Or a person who or his partner of a firm holding appointment as its auditor, if such person or partner is at the date of such appointment or reappointment holding appointment as auditor of more than 20 companies. See what is mentioned here. It says, पहला clause तो क्या था? That full-time employment में अगर आप हो, you cannot be appointed as an auditor of the company. Clear? Secondly, it says that, let's say, if a person, let's say Mr. X, he is not working somewhere else. He's working in a CA firm only, but he's fully occupied. He is the statutory auditor of 20 companies already. अब देखो, quality of the work will depend upon how much workload, how much burden is there on the auditor. So the next part of this clause says, it says that if Mr. X is already holding audit of 20 companies, then he cannot be appointed as auditor of any other company. Okay. However, students, just try to consider that, let's say, take a situation where Mr. X is holding appointment of 20 listed companies, huge businesses. On the other hand, let's take an example where Mr. X is holding appointment of 20 dormant companies. So there is a difference of workload here. So when here we say that if he's already having appointment as statutory auditor of 20 companies, there are certain exceptions. That अगर dormant company है, that will not be included in that 20 company का list. One person company है, that will not be included in that 20 companies का list. Small company है, that will not be included in that 20 company का list. Same way, if private company is having paid up share capital of less than 100 crores है, so it will not be included in that 20 company का list. क्योंकि basically हमें क्या देखना है, the workload that Mr. X is having, so that his quality of the audit work is not compromised. ठीक है? Is it clear? अब ये 20 companies में exception क्यों है? I hope the thing is clear. Now, Suraj, I'll resolve your query just a minute. ठीक है? So let us now read this point again. So a person is not eligible, है ना? ये हम ऊपर से पढ़ रहे हैं. A person who is in full-time employment elsewhere. इतना समझ आता है. और अब अच्छा रुको अभी, ठीक है? So here we have seen that Mr. X, if he's already occupied कैसे होएगा, that we'll discuss. 20 companies कैसे calculate होगा, we'll discuss. ठीक है? Now let's say X, Y, Z and Associates is a firm of chartered accountant. There are 3 partners. ठीक है? So on behalf, with respect to each partner, 20 companies का audit can be taken. So X, Y, Z and Associate कितनी companies का audit ले सकते हैं? 60. X, Y, Z and Associates. 20 on behalf of CAX, 20 on behalf of CAY, and 20 on behalf of CAZ. Is it clear? Is it clear? Okay. Now let us read this point again. A person who is in full-time employment elsewhere, or a person or a partner of a firm holding appointment as its auditor, if such person or partner is on the date of such appointment or reappointment. So if you want to know as to whether Mr. X can be appointed as a partner of ABC Limited today, as an auditor of ABC Limited today. So today you will have to see as to in how many companies CAX is holding the position as an auditor of the company on the date of such appointment. Okay? Of more than 20 companies other than, so what all companies are not included? One person company, है ना? So one person company is a company which has only one person as a member, है ना? Small company हो गया. Like the company having what? One person as a member. Dormant companies. The company is not having any significant accounting transactions. They are not having any business activity as of now, है ना? They may have activities in future. अभी dormant का क्या मतलब होता है? Sleeping. तो अभी there are no activities. तो अगर कोई activities नहीं है तो काम भी कम होगा. One person company है, only there is one member. काम कम होगा ना? Small companies as defined in section 2 clause 85 of the Companies Act, and private companies having paid up share capital less than 100 CR. So apart from these companies, rest all companies will be included when we are determining the limit of 20 companies. ठीक है? ये exception क्यों है? I told you that take an example कि on one hand a person having audit of 20 listed companies. On the other hand, he's having, let's say, 20 dormant companies. So there is no comparison of the work as such, na? Okay? So that is why these companies have been excluded. Okay? So clause G, and students will be discussing this section, this clause, that is section 141 subsection 3 clause G again. There is a topic in this chapter only, ceilings on the number of audit. but abhi ke liye what we have understood that a person who is in full-time employment or a person or a partner, if they are holding on the date of such appointment, अगर आज देखना है आपको कि मिस्टर एक्स एलिजिबल है नहीं, तो आज के डेट पे देखो कि ऑलरेडी कितने कंपनीज में he is holding the position as the statutory auditor of the company. If it is already 20, then more than 20 cannot be done. And in that 20, what about clause G? Now we are on clause H. So it says that a person is not eligible if a person who has been a court of offense involving fraud and a period of 10 years have not elapsed from the date of such conviction. Okay? So if any person has been convicted by a court of offense involving fraud, okay? So convicted means to say officially in the court of law that somebody is guilty of any crime, and here involving what? Fraud. So if a person has been held guilty basically, and a period of 10 years has not got over from the date of such conviction, from when he's declared guilty, when he's been convicted by the court of offense, from that day, a period of 10 years have not elapsed, then there will be ineligibility. So if 10 years have elapsed, there is no ineligibility. 10 साल तक there is ineligibility. Clear है, simple है. And the last clause, which is the 9th clause. Okay? So it says that if a person who directly or indirectly renders any services referred to in section 144. So here we'll be discussing about section 144 and where in the company itself. So if Mr. X, whether directly or indirectly, he is rendering any of the services mentioned in section 144 to ABC Limited or its holding and subsidiary. So no other thing like associate or subsidiary of holding. It only says company, holding or subsidiary. If Mr. X is rendering any services, whether directly or indirectly, what services? The services that are referred in section 144. Then also he is not eligible to be appointed as the auditor of the company. Now, what are all the services? So let us first have a look, then we will read all these matter which I have left. So tell me, if we have to see whether Mr. X can be appointed as the auditor of ABC Limited and Mr. X is CAX basically, and he's already providing bookkeeping services. Can he be appointed as the auditor of ABC Limited? Yes or no? Bookkeeping, accounting and bookkeeping services. He is writing the books of ABC Limited. Can he audit the books that he has only maintained? Quickly send in your reply. So the answer is no. Why? Because there will be dash threat. What kind of threat? Threat to independence. Your knowledge of chapter number 1. What will come here? Absolutely correct. Self-review threat. He'll be reviewing his own work now. So there are a number of such services, and again the logic is this only, that independence should not be hampered. So accounting and bookkeeping services, internal audit. financial information system. So if the audit firm is involved in any design or implementation of the financial information system, then again, not eligible to be appointed as an auditor of the company. Actuarial services. So we have done this earlier also. What is meant by actuarial services? So these pertain to services relating to evaluation of financial impact of risk using range of mathematical statistical methods. I gave you example of insurance company, Hana. So where the present value of the future risk, Hana, or the future amount that is payable by the insurance company, that need to be calculated. So there are actuaries who uses a range of mathematical and statistical methods to calculate all those obligations to be paid by the company. So that is called what? Actuarial services. So if the audit firm has provided such services to the company, it cannot be appointed as the auditor of the company, the statutory auditor of the company. Same way, investment advisory services. Okay? So like who makes various investment plans for the organization, Hana? Then investment banking services. Okay? For example, who helps the organization in mergers, in issuing the shares of the company, investment banking services, rendering of any outsourced financial services. If the company has rendered any of its financial services to that audit firm, it cannot be appointed as the auditor of the company. Any of the management services. Okay? So as such, it is not defined in the act that what is meant by management services. But let's say if the firm of the person, let's say Mr. X is in LLP, whereby that LLP also provides certain consultancy relating to HR function. Hana? So if such is the function which is provided by the firm, because it says the person directly or indirectly, okay, or any other kinds of services as may be prescribed. What is meant by actuarial services, you have seen. Okay? Is it clear? Yeah. Now, we have seen that it says the person who directly or indirectly renders any service referred to in section 144. Okay? Now, what is meant by directly or indirectly? Okay? Now, we'll be referring to that. Now, in case of a firm, okay, let's say XYZ and Associates, if it either itself or through any, what is mentioned, any of its parents, partners, or through its parent or subsidiary or associate entity, or through any other entity in which the firm or a partner of the firm has significant influence or control, or whose name or trademark or brand is used by the firm or any of its partners, shall be termed as rendering services directly or indirectly. So it basically says that if we have to look at as to whether XYZ and Associates is eligible to be appointed as auditor of the company, so we will have to see that whether these services which we have done in section 144 are being rendered to the company, to its holding or subsidiary, by the firm, and further by any partner of the firm, its parent, subsidiary, associate entity, or any entity which are under the common trade name. कोई भी relation है किसी भी entity के साथ, then if that entity is also giving the services to either the company, to holding or subsidiary, XYZ and Associates are not eligible to be appointed as an auditor of that company. Okay? Same way with respect to individual, it says that, just a minute. It says that in case of an auditor being an individual, either himself or through his relative or any other person connected or associated with such individual, or through any other entity whatsoever in which the individual has significant influence or control, or whose name, trademark or brand is being used by such individual, shall be termed services directly or indirectly. Same way here also, if you're talking about CAX, so if CAX himself or through Mrs. X or any of the relative or any person with whom he's associated, or any other entity where CAX is having significant influence, okay? Or let's say CAX is using the name of the firm, and under that brand name there is another firm, then also there will be what? Ineligibility for CAX. Okay? So directly or indirectly, any service to ABC, its holding or subsidiary. What is any service? Section 144. See students, also section 144 says that an auditor appointed under this act shall provide to the company only such other services as are approved by the board of director or audit committee. है ना? ऐसे auditor, if auditor has to provide any service, tax audit भी देना है, which is a permitted service, then it needs to be approved by the board of directors of the company or the audit committee. Audit committee क्या होता है? That we will be doing in this section, in this chapter, section 177 in detail later on. But which shall not include the following services rendered directly or indirectly to company, its holding or its subsidiary. Okay? And what are those services? These services which are mentioned in section 144, 9 services. Okay? And the logic is the same. So whatever we have done so far, you must have seen that the logic is that independence should be intact. There should be no threat to independence of the company. Okay? Is it clear? Now subsection 4 of section 141 is left. That I'll be completing. After that, we will just summarize as to what we have done in section 141. So 141 subsection 1 किया, 2 किया, 3 में हमने देखा who all are not eligible. Now subsection 4, and I think Darshan का doubt था, yeah, and one more student. It was a doubt of one more student. I don't remember the name. You were saying that, ma'am, if after appointment the relative holds a security of exceeding 1 lakh and the auditor has not taken corrective action, then what will happen? See, where a person, so this is section 141 subsection 4, where a person appointed as an auditor of the company incurs any of the disqualification mentioned in subsection 3 after his appointment. So appointment has been made, उसके बाद अगर ऐसा कुछ हो जाता है, ठीक है, let's say relative acquires the shares and those are not sold within the corrective period also, that person, Mr. X, shall vacate his office as such auditor. तभी के तभी Mr. X shall vacate the office and such vacation shall be deemed to be a casual vacancy in the office of the auditor. So तभी के तभी जब जैसे ही ये ineligibility attract होती है, that person or the CA firm will vacate the office as such auditor. उसी दिन they will not work as an auditor and it will be deemed to be a casual vacancy in the office of the auditor. What is meant by casual vacancy of an auditor? How is it filled? We will be doing in section 139 subsection 8 in the next session. Abhi I am not going in detail. ठीक है? Is it clear? ठीक है? Quickly send in your replies. Is it clear? तो एक बारी quickly revise करेंगे as to what we have done in section 141. ठीक है? Is it clear? So let us just quickly see a quick discussion as to like we'll be summarizing as to what we have done and then we will move on with the next section. So section 141 subsection 1 में क्या पढ़ा हमने? कौन auditor हो सकता है? Only, अच्छा, we are talking about what? Statutory auditor of a company. ठीक है? So if he is a, only if he is a chartered accountant, firm को appoint कर सकते हैं, multidisciplinary firm को, yes, if majority of the partners practicing in India are what? Qualified as aforesaid, that is they are what? Chartered accountant. ठीक है? Second में ये कहता है कि अगर कोई firm को including LLP को is appointed as an auditor, then only the CA is authorized to act and sign on behalf of the firm. ठीक है? Third point में it says that section 141 subsection 3 along with rule 10 of CAR, ठीक है, it says that the following persons are not eligible to be appointed as an auditor, and there are what 9 clauses. Okay. So the first point says that a body corporate other than LLP. Second point says officer employee of the company. Third point says a partner or employee or officer or employee of the company. ABC clear है? D के there are further 3 points. ठीक है? And D says that if that person or his relative or the partner is either holding any security or is indebted to the company for an amount exceeding rupees 5 lakhs or has given a security or guarantee to the company, its holding, subsidiary, associate or subsidiary of such holding. So 3 persons कौन है? Person, relative और partner. कहां पर देखना है? कंपनी में, सब्सिडरी में, होल्डिंग में, एसोसिएट में, सब्सिडरी ऑफ होल्डिंग में. क्या क्या देखना है कि कोई सिक्योरिटी तो होल्ड नहीं की है. एक्सेप्शन किसके लिए है? रिलेटिव के लिए है. कितना? फेस वैल्यू 1 लाख. एक्सीड कर जाता है तो कितना ग्रेस पीरियड है? 60 डेज को है. किसका है? सिर्फ रिलेटिव का है. Is second point says indebted to the company for an amount exceeding rupees 5 lakhs, and company says now I mean what? Company holding subsidiary, associate or subsidiary of holding, or has given guarantee or security in connection with the indebtedness of the third party to all these companies. That is company holding subsidiary, associate, subsidiary of holding. Yeah. This was point number D. E says that if that person or the firm is having a business relationship, किससे? Again यही सारी with an extension. Company, subsidiary, holding, subsidiary of such holding or associate company. ठीक है. But business relationship में क्या होता है? Business relationship, any transaction on account of for commercial purpose, except first point says where the CA is rendering any permitted services. आप समझ आया? देखो permitted services जो prohibited है वो तो आप render कर ही नहीं सकते हो. And the permitted under Companies Act and CA Act. The next point says that if the CA is receiving any service as a customer in the ordinary course of business at arm's length price from the other party, and the businesses क्या क्या define किए गए हैं? Telecommunication, hotel, hospital, airlines and such other similar businesses. So this was clause E. F क्या कहता है कि a person, if the relative of that person is a director or key managerial person of the company, then that person is not eligible to be appointed as the auditor of the company. G point C क्या कहता है? Quality से you will have to learn, है ना? That अगर quality compromise हो रही है, quality कैसे compromise हो रही है? If you are in full time employment elsewhere, yeah. If that person or the partner of the firm on the date of such appointment is already holding the appointment as an auditor of more than 20 companies, except for one-person company, dormant companies, small companies, or private companies having a paid-up share capital of less than 100 CR. ठीक है? H says that if a person has been convicted by a court of offense involving fraud and a period of 10 years have not elapsed, and I point says if the person directly or indirectly renders to the company or the holding or the subsidiary any services mentioned in section 144. Okay? So there we discussed about directly, indirectly, and we also discussed that if an auditor has to give any services permitted भी देनी है तो भी board of director audit committee का approval चाहिए. And what are those prohibited services? Accounting and bookkeeping services, internal audit, design, implementation of financial information system, actuarial services, investment advisory, investment banking services, management services, outsourced financial services, and such other services as may be prescribed. Okay? So I hope this section, wait. Section 141 subsection 4 क्या बोलता है कि if after the appointment, if any of the above ineligibility is attracted, so that firm or that person shall vacate the office, and it shall be vacated as what? A casual vacancy in the office of the auditor. Casual vacancy क्या होता है? Section 139 subsection 8 में हम पढ़ेंगे. ठीक है? So this was about section 141. of the Companies Act about eligibility, qualification, and disqualification of an auditor. Now I'll have a look at your queries. Then we will move on to section 138. Vacate the office मतलब वो that firm shall leave that office as an auditor. कि अब they will not to work as the auditor of that company from that day itself. Darshan, is it clear? Navan Neethan. So, see, auditor needs to be alert. Na? He must be aware na, that the relative, that let's say Mr. X must be aware na, that Mrs. X is already holding 1 lakh ka shares. So the face value, he must be aware that now the amount has exceeded. And if you say that, how can he get aware on the same day? So that is why a corrective period of 60 days is given. And suppose he is not able to take the corrective action, then vacate the office as an auditor of the company, as per section 141 subsection 4. ठीक है? See, Darshan, abhi we are saying that, देखो, in chapter number 5 also you have learned about fraud reporting, na? ठीक है? So here this clause is specifically about where a person has been convicted. Achha, don't go to chapter number 5. So this is basically about where a person has been convicted of a code of offense involving fraud. For fraud, that person has been convicted by the code of offense. And Darshan, with respect to your doubt, na, this specific doubt, we will be doing it in section 140. So Shubham, send in your query again. I cannot see your query. Case study on page number 10.9. What is it? Siddhi is asking. 10.9. So students, have a look at this case study, page number 10.9. So see, Mr. A chartered accountant, has been appointed as an auditor of Lakshman Limited in AGM of the company held in September 2016, which he accepted. Subsequently, so after accepting the assignment, subsequently in January 2017, he joined Mr. B, another chartered accountant, who is manager finance of Lakshman Limited, as partner. Okay? So now what is happening is, Mr. A is a chartered accountant who has been appointed as the auditor of the company in September. So he is appointed as an auditor. After that, he joined Mr. B. And Mr. B is what? He is the manager finance of Lakshman Limited. Okay? So he becomes what? Partner of officer of the company or employee of the company. Partner of employee of the company. Okay? Is it clear? So section 141 subsection 3 clause C. है and this has happened after the appointment. अब यहाँ पर कोई grace period वगैरह थोड़ी ना होता है. So what will Mr. A do? He will vacate the office of the auditor of Lakshman Limited. And it will be what? A casual vacancy in the office of the auditor of Lakshman Limited. So vacate the office means now he shall not work as the auditor of Lakshman Limited. ठीक है? Siddhi, is it clear? Siddhi, is it clear? So on the date of appointment, you have to see all these things. Diksha? Shubham, your query is not coming. Whenever you write ma'am and question mark, that I am able to see, but your query is not coming. So Siddhi, is it clear? So Siddhi is saying yes. Diksha, is your doubt clear? Himanshu, your doubt about vacating? So is it clear, students? Tell me. Then we'll proceed with section 139 relating to appointment of an auditor. Okay. See, students, we have had a good discussion, and in fact, the entire session we have spent on section 141. In case still you have doubts, see, first of all, to go through the module at home with concentration. Read all the case study, all the illustrations that are given in the module. They are definitely going to help you in having a better understanding of this concept. And I assure you that once after the session you go through the module, all your queries that you are sending me, है ना, many of you are making a number of MCQs कि मैम अगर ऐसा होगा क्या होगा, वैसा होगा क्या होगा. Once you go through the module at home, once or twice, you read all these case studies that are given in your module, you yourself will be able to answer those questions that are coming up in your mind. Hai? So we have further 4 sessions for this chapter. So don't worry. Abhi, I'm not taking up any other MCQ. See, you are making so many MCQs. If my cousin is doing so, ye wo. First, go through the MCQ or the module along with all the questions that are given. Then in the next session, definitely I'll take up all your queries. Okay? So today we haven't discussed all the questions. So this is your homework. Other topics also which we have gone through in the module, that is also your homework. Go through that as a homework, and then in the next session we can always discuss the questions. So let me just take 1 or 2 queries which is relevant. Let me just have a look. Yes, Bhumika, you are correct. If he falls under the definition of relative. अब relative की definition में you will have to see ना. So it says brother. ठीक है? ब्रदर की बात हो रही है यहाँ पे, जो आपने मेंशन किया उसकी बात नहीं हो रही है. तो भूमिका, the questions that you have framed, there will be no ineligibility. Because it mentions brother, sister, step brother या step sister. ये अगेन विद रिस्पेक्ट टू इंडेटनेस है ना, जो क्लॉज डी है उसमें सबके लिए देखना है, या तो पर्सन और हिज रिलेटिव और पार्टनर, है ना. अगर मिसेस एक्स इज ऑल्सो इंडेटेड टू एबीसी लिमिटेड, देन ऑल्सो इनएलिजिबिलिटी है. वर्षा, इज इट क्लियर? Varsha, Bhumika, are your doubts clear? Bhumika is saying, ma'am, okay. Darshan is also saying, ma'am, understood. Varsha, you also send in your reply. Is it clear? So now we'll be starting with section 139 relating to appointment of auditor. So the way I told you that with what is this? Appointment of auditor. Okay? So Varsha is also saying, ma'am, fine. So again, I'm repeating that if any of you is still having any doubt, don't worry. We have the next 4 sessions for this chapter. At home, please go through the module till where we have done, and along with all the questions that are given. I'm sure after that, maximum of the doubts that are coming up in your mind at this moment will be resolved, though I have tried to resolve the maximum of your queries which are mentioned here. See, let's say the relative is not willing to sell off the shares, na? Then auditor is not eligible to be appointed as an auditor. So the the law has given an opportunity to the auditor to take corrective action. If he is able to take that, then he can be appointed, or he can continue to be appointed as an auditor. If he is not able to do that, then there will be ineligibility. Navneethan, is it clear? Yes, Sudhanshu. Whatever is mentioned in the definition of relative as per the Companies Act 2013, we need to consider that. Okay. Now, section 139, there are 11 subsections. Okay. With respect to section 139. So, we will be discussing today about the appointment of auditor. So, the name of section is what? Appointment of auditor. अभी हमने क्या देखा? Who is eligible, qualified or disqualified to be appointed as an auditor? Having understood that, now let us try to understand as to who appoints the auditor. For how long an auditor once appointed can remain as an auditor of the company. Okay? So we will do one thing. See, there are 4 sections. Section 139 subsection 6. Otherwise, I've told you that there are total 11 subsections of section 139. We will be doing all these subsections. Okay? So with respect to appointment of auditor, first of all, it is divided as appointment of first auditor, appointment of subsequent auditors. What is meant by first auditor? What is meant by subsequent auditors? We will discuss further. Appointment of first auditor in case of a government company is given, and in case of other than government company is given. Okay. Same way, appointment of subsequent auditor in case of government company is given, then other than government company is given. Okay. So first of all, we'll be doing all these 4 subsections. Okay. So first of all, I'll be doing what? Section 139, subsection 1, relating to appointment of subsequent auditor other than a government company. Okay. So let's say the date of registration of the company is this. Okay. Let's say it is 30th June 2021. Okay. So after this, what will be the financial statements? 31st March 2022. Okay. This is the date of incorporation, the date of registration of the company. So the financials with respect to this period, okay, this is period from 30th June 21 to 31st March 2022, must have been laid in the AGM, in the first AGM. Let's say here, let's say it was on, let's say 31st July 2022. Okay, is it clear? Now, the person, the auditor who audits the financial statement for this period is what? First auditor. Okay. Let's say it is 31st May. Okay. And from here onwards, the person who conducts the audit of the financial statement after this period is what? Subsequent auditor. Okay. So, abhi we are not talking about this period. Basically, the first period, right? The financial statements of this first period will be laid in the first AGM before the shareholders. And here, the subsequent auditor will be appointed. Here, the subsequent auditor will be appointed. Students, today we will not be able to, cover any entire subsection also. So, we just have a simple understanding as to what we are going to understand in section 139. ठीक है, कोई doubt रह भी जाएगा तो we'll be discussing it again in the next session. And what we are discussing? We are discussing about appointment of subsequent auditor in a company other than a government company. अब government company क्या होता है? That will be doing in the next section. Next session. ठीक है? So appointment of the subsequent auditor in case of the company other than a government company. So देखो यहाँ फर्स्ट AGM है ना, तो यहाँ पर शेयर होल्डर्स मेंबर्स भी तो होंगे ना. So the appointment of subsequent auditor will be made by the members in the AGM. ठीक है. And the person so appointed shall hold office from first AGM to 6th AGM subject to fulfillment of certain conditions. Okay. So see, we have seen date of registration was here 30th June. Here the financial statements. This is the date of financial statements. After that, this is the first AGM. So we have seen that the subsequent auditor of a company other than a government company shall be appointed by the members in AGM, and the auditor so appointed shall hold office till the conclusion of 6th AGM. So considering this as the first AGM, second AGM, third AGM, fourth AGM, and fifth AGM. So total how many period? 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, and 5 years. So when a subsequent auditor is appointed by the members in an AGM, considering the AGM where such auditor is appointed as the first AGM, such auditor continues to hold office till the conclusion of 6th AGM, that is for a period of 5 consecutive years. A subsequent auditor is appointed in an AGM. And who appoints the auditor? The shareholders. Okay? Then it further says subject to fulfillment of certain conditions. Subject to fulfillment of certain conditions. So what are those conditions? So first of all, let us just have a look from the module. Hana? Conditions we'll see in the next session. Abhi just let us have a read to section 139. So section 139, subsection 1 of the Companies Act, it provides that every company shall. So every company has to appoint an auditor. So we are talking about a company here. At the first annual general meeting, appoint an individual or a firm as an auditor who shall hold office from the conclusion of that meeting. मतलब जब वो meeting conclude हुई है, वहां से till the conclusion of 6th annual general meeting, and thereafter till the conclusion of every 6th AGM. So what is meant by this point? Thereafter till the conclusion of every 6th AGM. This I'll take up in the next session. अभी हमने क्या पढ़ा? Section 139 subsection 1 क्या बोलता है? Appointment of subsequent auditors in case of non-government companies. ठीक है? So every company shall at first annual general meeting भी company को appoint करना ही है. Either individual or a firm as an auditor who shall hold office from the conclusion of that meeting till the conclusion of the 6th AGM. तो कितने years आए? हमने calculate करके देखा. From the conclusion of first AGM till the conclusion of 6th AGM, so total number of years are what? 5 years. ठीक है? Subject to fulfillment of certain condition था. The following points need to be noted in this regard. So basically it says that when a company is made hold office means he will work as an auditor of the company. Himanshu, is it clear? Vacate office means now he is not working as the auditor of that company. ठीक है? Hold office means hold the position as an auditor of that company. Work as the auditor of that company. ठीक है? Now when the company is appointing the audit firm as an auditor, the company needs to obtain a written consent from the auditor. कि लिख के दे दो भाई that you have consented in writing that you are willing to appoint as an auditor of our company. So written consent of the auditor to such appointment plus a certificate will be obtained from the auditor. Certificate will be obtained from the auditor that If such appointment is made, it shall be in accordance with such conditions as may be prescribed. As may be prescribed. And whenever we look at the conditions as may be prescribed, we go to rules. So here the relevant rule that we'll be studying is Rule 4 of Companies Audit and Auditor Rules 2014. Okay? Yeah. So what we are saying, abhi bas isko discuss karte hain. We are saying that every company shall, कौन कहता है ये? Section 139 subsection 1. ठीक है? Section 139 subsection 1 कहता है that every company shall at the first AGM appoint an individual or a firm as a auditor, and such auditor shall hold office from the conclusion of that AGM till the conclusion of 6th AGM. And when such appointment is made, that company shall obtain a written consent from the auditor. Ki writing mein de do that you have consented as an auditor of the company, and a certificate to the effect. Auditor is going to give a certificate to the company that if my appointment as an auditor of the company or my firm's appointment as an auditor of the company is made, then the conditions as are prescribed in Rule 4 of Companies Audit and Auditor Rule 2014, they will be met. Is it clear? Is it clear? Okay. So what are those conditions? I just want you to see. Such conditions are given here. So I want you to just go through this point number 2 as a homework. That is on page number 10.13. ठीक है? 6 years कैसे हो गया? Darshan, I have calculated now. Just have a look here now. From the conclusion of first AGM, यहाँ पर conclude हुई meeting till the conclusion of 6th AGM. तो first year, second year, third year, 4th year, and 5 years. Darshan, please tell me whether it is clear now. ठीक है? So you need to do this as a homework further. Till here, that is page number 10.9. You need to go through the module in entirety, including all the questions, case study, any illustration that is given. Yes, Darshan, you are correct. Written consent. See, students, don't call it a written representation. Written representation तो कौन देता है? मैनेजमेंट या दो स्टार विद गवर्नेंस ऐसे 580 में ऑडिटर को देते हैं. यहाँ पर क्या वर्ड है? रिटन कंसेंट. So where is that? So please don't get confused. A written consent and a certificate. Written representation थोड़ी ना word आया है. ठीक है? अभी फर्दर कौन अपॉइंट होगा ये भूमिका हम अब नेक्स्ट सेशन में डिस्कस करेंगे. सुधांशु, आई होप योर डाउट इज क्लियर. प्लीज डोंट कॉल इट अ रिटन रिप्रेजेंटेशन. व्हाट इज द टर्म? रिटन कंसेंट और सर्टिफिकेट. ठीक है? So please go through these conditions given on page number 10.13 and do go through the module till page number 10.9. ठीक है? कोई डाउट होगा नेक्स्ट सेशन में we will definitely discuss. ठीक है? And please नेक्स्ट सेशन में आने से पहले पढ़ के आना. ठीक है? Is it clear, students? Bhumika, Sudhanshu, Darshan, are all of yours doubts clear? ठीक है, so we will end the session for today and we'll meet for the second session for this chapter. Before that, please go through the module, do the homework that I have given to you. So thank you and good night and take care.